Well, welcome to the Cinnabar. Now you might notice behind me the quake and aspens are turning color, which means it's the fall of the year. It's also hunting season. And this year we managed to get out for a couple of good hunts, and we're going to put them together into one episode here and invite you folks along. Now this year we chose a 1895 Winchester in 35 WCF or 35 Winchester. Just a fantastic hunting cartridge. It's kind of little known. It was only chambered in the 95s and a few of them in the 85 high walls, but just a dandy. Basically a neck down version of the 405, can be loaded up or down for any North American big game. This one's extremely accurate and has the Model 21 Lyman receiver sight, which I really like. So the first day of this hunt, we'd had a lot of rain, and this ground gets really soft. We couldn't drive up here on the ranch, so I just went on walkabout. We spent a lot of time walking around and stalking a few deer and whatnot. And then the second day it dried out a little bit, and I was joined by my younger brother and his son, who had done a big walking hunt up here, and I come up to pick them up, and then we got into some more deer and managed to turn out to be a pretty darn good hunt. So stick around, this ought to be fun. We're 5 days into a 12-day hunting season here, and we've had a couple of days of just intense rain. So the roads are muddy, we can't really drive up on the ranch. So today we're just gonna kind of go on walkabout. And we're hopeful that this rain maybe has brought out a few of the deer, maybe brought them down off the hill. If we turn and look here up at Slide Mountain, we see there's a little snow up on the mountain this morning. And that's usually a good sign. That's usually what kind of drives the deer down here. So we're just going to start out from the house here and walk up on the ranch and see what we can see. And it's a good sign because you may not be able to see them, but just up on the hill up here behind the house, I already see 4 does kind of feeding and bedded down there. So we're hopeful that today there'll be some deer moving. So just to the right of those 3 pine trees there's 3 does feeding out. We can't put horns on any of them. Now today we're filming with a GoPro, so you're gonna see everything from my perspective. We've got this on a headband, and so as I look around, you'll be seeing what I see. Okay, we've made our way up to our first bench here. This is an area we call the swamp because this bench at one time was a huge big beaver pond. Unfortunately, we had a big fire about 20 years ago and burned off their feed, and they moved out. Otherwise, you'd see this whole area in front of us would have been a pond. Now you can see the quake and aspens across the way are starting to change colors. Gets really beautiful here in the fall. And today we're sharing some of our hunting area with some grazing cattle over here. They pay the bills, so we don't mind their presence. And now we're on the other end of the swamp, and you can see where the beavers used to have it all dammed up out here. Was a heck of a big pond, and you kind of see maybe the remnants of the old lodge out there that have kind of rotted away. We'd sure like to get some beavers back in here and rebuild this, but some of the bureaucracy's been a little bit tough dealing with fish and wildlife. We're going to keep glassing here for a little bit, and then we'll make our way up that draw where the creek comes down up there, get up to the next level. And we've had really good success up at that area in the past, so keep your fingers crossed. For some of you who watch the channel regularly, you might recognize some of the spots as we go through them. I did an episode on 1895 Winchester Russian muskets right here in this spot one time. If we pan across over here, years ago when my niece, who grew up on the ranch here, decided to go hunting, I brought her up here, and right on that opposite hillside, she killed a nice little forked horn. So here's a view of where we just came from. You see that ridge over there with the pine trees on it. The house is just over the ridge down by the edge of the lake down there. Now as I was just climbing up this last rise right over here, I came across some very, very fresh big cat tracks. So I'm less enthusiastic about seeing a deer right in here because it was raining hard yesterday evening, so there's been a big cat through here within the last 12 hours. Of course, I do have a cat tag and a bear tag, so we could turn this into a cat hunt or a bear hunt real easy too. Now I just saw a lone doe make her way into this timbered draw down below us from the other side. Kind of unusual to see one alone by themselves, so work my way over to this other side to see if maybe we're late enough in the season she might be attracting a suitor. But alas, she was just here by herself, so we'll continue on. Okay, we've come a long ways up the hill now, and we're just not seeing much. Few does so far. I've been kind of making my way up to this spot because this spot usually holds a lot of deer. But today I'm not finding any. We've been glassing it pretty darn hard. Years ago, just up the hillside there on that opposite bank, wife and I both got our bucks. And as I was walking up to check on them, there was a great big spear point laying right next to one of them bucks. Okay, we've come a long ways now, and just as we're breaking over this ridge, putting the glasses on things, we're starting to get into deer now. There's one just in a gap in those trees that's just kind of skylined there in front of the lake. There's another one with it up in the trees above it. And if you look out on that bald knob out in the distance, there's 7 deer just right at the top of that bald knob there. 2 of them are kind of skylined against the lake there, and 5 more down below. And then we pan down a little further, and of course these are far enough out, they're probably half mile out over there. There's at least 4 that are just coming up over the edge over there. So we're going to see if we can't get over and get a little closer and see if we can get maybe some horns put on any of those. Things are starting to look up. Right next to that pine tree, there's looks like probably a yearling. She's gonna come up and see what's going on here. She's certainly got me pegged. Oh no, that's a full-grown doe. Okay, well, here's a buck that we didn't get. Now we're kind of sneaking around here, and we're trying to stay down on the lee side of this ridge here. Those 7 that we saw earlier were over the edge of this from us. So we're going to continue work along there. It's been a good half an hour since we last saw them. We probably got another 20 minutes or so to work around, and if they're still there, then we're going to try to come up from the back side and see them. Of course, there's a pretty good chance that they've wandered off by now, but that's the way it goes. We'll take our chances to get up and get close enough to get into the shooting range. Okay, I've been catching my breath here. Now, if they're still there, I'm hoping I can pop up on that big boulder up there and see them have good shooting range, and hopefully they're within shooting range. If not, we'll continue our stalk. Well, there's part of an antler anyway, so we know deer live here. Oh, we still don't have a good view. I see one on the ridge line there. So we can see three very clearly, skylined there, and we've seen a couple more, but all does. Oh, they've had enough. But they're not going too far. I'd sure like to see their boyfriend come up over the ridge, see what's going on. So there's 6 skyline now. And very clearly all does. We're not trophy hunting today, so if a decent young buck showed up, we would certainly take that shot. There, they're getting a little too nervous now. So we're going to sit here and glass this opposite bank there for a while. That brushy area over there can hold a lot of deer. You can sit here and glass this for an hour and swear there isn't any deer over there. And heck, a whole group of them will stand up and feed out into the open. Of course, this is too far to shoot with our open sights and our old lever action Winchester, but you know, as you can see, even in this wide open country, spot and stalk can be very effective. We've stalked and got within shooting range of this Winchester on several deer. Just haven't had the right headgear. Now that last stalk I did on the first day was on that big flat you can see across from us over here. Now I came up from the south that time and came up from the back side of that ridge over there and got up pretty darn close to them. Now that next day we came down to this spot here, went on the west side of that, and we got this vantage point. We could see there was a big group of deer there again, and this time there was a couple of dandy bucks. So what we did is from here we had a long ways to go before we were in shooting range. So we went down over the hill here down into the bottom, came up. My brother and his son got into that, you can see the greener brush pile down here on this side of that flat, and then I came up from the same place on the other side, so we'd have them at 90-degree angles, so we wouldn't get ourselves in some kind of a crossfire situation. Lightning did kind of strike twice. I came up right at the same place, kind of where that lone pine tree is over on the other edge of that ridge. You can see it skylined against the lake there. And we did manage to get a little video of the final portion of it. Now, I had other things on my mind as we were stalking over there, and it didn't even occur to me to get my camera turned on, so you missed the boring part of the stalk down and across here, but we got it on for some of the better stuff. So without further ado, we'll kind of show you how it all played out here. Well, I believe we have 2 nice bucks down, folks. What a dandy hunt. We had these deer spotted from across the way, same place we saw some yesterday. Had my brother and my nephew with me, and we stalked them here. There's a nice 4-point muley buck right there. A dandy. In the east we call that a 10-pointer. Let's go see what the other one looks like. Oh, he's a good one too. I think he's still kicking a little, or he was just a bit ago. Another dandy. Yeehaw! I think this one's a little smaller buck. I think they high graded the better ones for themselves. Yeah, that's a dandy 3-point. In the east we call it a 7-point. It's got a pretty good eye guard there. Dandy bucks. Big bodied, great bucks. All right, guys.
What do you think of that? That's perfect.
That's pretty awesome. That's a good hunt.
Yeah. Buck up there is down.
Yeah. Yep.
Sweet.
You guys high graded the bigger one, of course.
We did.
But that one up there, it's a 3-point, but it's a pretty dandy buck too. Both of them big, nice bucks.
I was trying to hunt him up in the scope, and when I got him in the scope, I realized he was already shot.
Oh, the second one up there? Yeah.
He was already shot, and he was all hobbled up. And I just squeezed off, just trying to help out. It's like, oh, he's already got him.
Yep.
That is a really big-bodied buck right there.
Yeah, I think the one up there might be a little bigger bodied, even though this guy's got a little better rack.
Really? Wow. That is a real trophy right there.
Yeah.
Great hunt. Shooting stick came in clutch.
Without these shooting sticks, we were pinned. Half of those does were down there, and they were looking right at us.
Oh, yeah.
And I told Aiden, heck with them, we just got to do it.
Did you see me come over the ridge there?
I didn't even know you were there when we were shooting.
Well, it was funny because, you know, I really worked at getting over that ridge without getting spotted. And I just got into position and bang! So I thought, oh, they just waited till I was in place.
No, it was just literally this buck got up and he moved. And I had the shooting sticks all lined up with him, and he was getting ready to shoot him, and he moved behind some brush from our position. Yeah. So we had to readjust him.
Oh, yeah.
And then he just laid back down again. And Aiden's like, do we have to wait for him to stand up? And I was like, oh no. You go ahead and shoot him whenever you want.
Well, way to go, guys. This is awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a lot longer
Yeah.
scope than what I thought. Because we were back like over there in those humps.
Yeah, the distance out here where it's wide open like this is deceptive. That's
It looks 150 yards, but walking across that, you look very small when you walk down.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's actually a lot further than I was thinking.
Well, it was a dandy hunt today on the Cinnabar. Thanks for joining us. Hope you had as good a time as we did. Until next time, happy trails from the Cinnabar.